Hi. Welcome to the section on relaxation and grounding. And today we're going to talk about why relaxation and grounding are important, what they mean, and to then teach some simple techniques to help you to relax, ground, and incorporate that in a daily practice or a regular practice into your life. And so first, before you can understand why grounding and relaxation are important and what they are, I want to talk about stress and the role of stress and the impact of stress on our life. And you have to understand that our body has a sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, and it's designed to help us in times of stress to have this spike of energy so that we can have this burst of resources for times of need. And when we lived in the wild where we had lions and tigers and bears, oh my, this was a really important function. And it still is today, because while we don't have lions and tigers and bears, we do have crisis instances where we need to have these bursts of resources that on a regular basis we never would be able to imagine being capable of. So the thing that happens, though, is in the wild or in true, genuine crisis situations, we get this burst that brings our body up to the top of this bell curve of what it's capable of. But then the lion, the tiger, or the bear go away, and our parasympathetic nervous system tells us it's okay, the stress is over, come down out of stress and go back into relaxation mode. It's kind of, in some instances, what you might call the crash. That, very often, say for example, after there's been a severe trauma, you'll be exhausted, you'll be depleted because you've had this exertion and now your resources need to replenish. Now, the earth beats in terms of electromagnetic resonance and frequency right in the middle of the human relaxation range. So it's like this giant tuning fork that is always informing the body to come back to and recalibrate to an optimally relaxed and replenished state of being at the cellular level, at the muscular level, at the neurological level. And at this point in modern technology, the body is being bombarded with as many as 200,000 competing frequencies. So it's like being at a concert and standing in front of the speaker and trying to hear someone whisper in your ear. That our body is living at the top of the bell curve because there's all of these stressors that bring it up, bring it all the way up. And it's so close to that threshold of what it can't tolerate that we're that much closer to the threshold of disease, the threshold of all kinds of other breakdowns that are emotional, mental, and physical. And so what happens is, if, say for example, someone said, pick up this 200-pound weight. You'd be like, no way, I can't do that. That's heavy. I'll kill myself. But if every day someone put a quarter of a pound in your pocket and added it up and added it up and added it up and added it up, next thing you know, you're all the way up here and you don't even realize how weighed down you are with all of this extra weight, all this stress. And since it's so gradual, and since there's no clear and inciting incident, and it's been so insidious in how it's accumulated, there's also nothing coming along to say, it's okay, come back down out of stress mode. And since the body is also perpetually being bombarded, it's being told, stay in stress mode, don't come out of stress mode. So we're living at the peak of the bell curve of what our bodies can process and tolerate, which is why we're seeing such an increase in so many physical, mental, and emotional breakdowns. And I don't mean breakdowns in terms of absolute psychotic breaks, but just in terms of we're not at optimal functioning. We're looking for medications. We're looking for other things. We're looking for some way to come back into optimal health. And so what happens is when the body is in stress mode, it is neurologically, biologically holding all of its reserves. The body, when it's afraid it's going to become the lion's next meal, is not worried about digesting its lunch, or thinking, or doing anything else. So when the body's in stress mode, all other functions become secondary. You're not going to function at your optimal best. So this is why learning how to manage stress or reduce stress is important, because if we can eliminate stress from the body, we take an important chunk out of the equation as to getting sick or being creative, being in a relaxed place, being a better parent, being a better student. And there are a lot of things that play into that in terms of lifestyle choices, changes we can make in our habits, changes in our diet, nutrition, supplements, etc. But if we have a daily practice of regular relaxation, we can learn how to lower our body's stress. And from there, we can become more functional, more relaxed, and be in a better place, whether we just want it for our own sense of daily well-being, or we want to be able to apply this well-being in this better place to other functions. So, first of all, I want to define a few terms. I would define stress. I think that kind of really clearly understands what stress is and what it does to the body. But what does it mean to be relaxed? It means to not be in a stressed mode at a cellular, muscular, emotional, and mental level. And all of those levels interplay. So if we can remove the physiological stress, very often the rest of the stress can process through. The things that are on our mind aren't as overwhelming. The things we have to deal with in our day-to-day life aren't as overwhelming. You know, we can learn how to take a deep breath and say, okay, I've got this now. And when we're in stress mode, that also impacts our creativity and our intuition. Creativity and intuition come from an area in the brain that resonates with what they refer to as theta. And there are different brain states: alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and theta. Beta is our normal waking state. Alpha is what they refer to as a relaxed state. Delta would be a deep sleep. Theta is that kind of same brainwave area that you go into when you dream. It's the range of creativity. It's that level between all of our unconscious, all of the invisible realms, however we want to term them, and the waking conscious brain. And so we want to kind of find a way to create Grand Central Station or a connector flight between that unconscious information and our waking conscious states. And when we do that, we can utilize innovation, we can utilize healing, we can utilize empowerment. We can find better business and productivity solutions. We're bringing all the colors of the rainbow on board because that information is for us and it's from us. And by accessing it, we're getting access to a lot of our own information that we weren't aware we were holding stored away in deep storage, so to speak. And so now creativity is kind of that inner child, how it plays with things and puts things together in novel ways. And intuition is that, I have a hunch. This might not be a good idea, or, ooh, I think I know what will work. So intuition is connecting into that information without quite knowing everything in between, but learning how to read when that information is coming to you. And like I said, in creativity is taking that information and finding novel ways to apply it. So the role of meditation and the role of grounding is to do both of those functions. It, one, relieves stress from the body and allows us to find and tap into those theta ranges. And it also makes that connector flight. So it serves two different functions. One, it creates a physical connector flight. I have company here. And two, it brings those 2 points a little closer together so that they're more accessible. So it enhances the channel between the two and it makes the two closer together. So meditation, and I'm not very good at meditation. Through all of my years as a student of the different indigenous practices, and all of my spiritual teachers always talked about the role of meditation and guided journey work. And I was always kind of left a little befuddled because I struggled with this. I don't find stillness readily, which is probably why I like the Andean spiritual practices, because they're not so much about stillness as it is about working with energy and moving energy. And I like that approach a lot better. Stillness and me, not that close. As you might see even watching me, I like to talk with my hands, I move. I like to be engaged. It's not so much a nervous energy as it is an active energy. It wants to move forward. It wants to do things. So for anybody else who's had struggle with meditation, I think you'll probably appreciate what I'm saying and understand exactly what I mean. To sit down and still your mind and clear your mind it's almost like torture. Sometimes it would create more stress for me than I had before I started. So I really had to kind of do some background work to understand what is meditation, what is the function it's trying to accomplish, and what are other ways that this can happen. So, as I said, meditation, clearing the mind. What happens neurologically when you meditate, from what I can understand and what I've been able to figure out, is the brain patterns are constantly all over the place. When you meditate, that just smooths out. And so all that chatter, and so neurologically, it's allowing the brain to rest, but it's also training the brain to have a controlled, organized structure, kind of like a pattern. So you get in that meditative state, and then you can say, all right, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. Kind of like having a planner. And so the definition that I use to kind of describe meditation is focused awareness with relaxation. And I've come up with a lot of different strategies for how I can accomplish that. I have what I call active meditations, strategies to help and learn how to slow down that I'm going to go through and I'm going to show each of you. And before I do that, though, I want to explain the other technique, or what I call, is grounding. And people always say, are you grounded? And again, that's another term that I really struggled with. And from my years in practice, what I've come to understand, or the way I employ the concept of grounding, is almost like physics, when you take something that's not stable and you ground it to something that is. And so by learning how to have a relaxation practice that grounds you to a slower, more relaxed state. And so I think and understand that grounding is doing that, whether it's going out and sitting on the earth and grounding to that natural earth's magnetic lower frequency, or breath work, or whatever it would be. It's grounding the energy into a more relaxed field or state. So I hope that this explanation really helps to understand the importance and the function of what is being accomplished through this and why it's important. And so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to show some of the different techniques, and then I will also have longer guided sessions that go in more depth. I hope you enjoy them. If you have techniques of your own, please feel free to share them in the comments. And practice them on a regular basis, and what you'll find is once you have developed a practice, you don't have to employ a whole lot of exercise, a whole lot of exertion to drop into that grounded state, because that's what you're grounded now. It's kind of like being in training, or Pavlov's dog. Once you have that incorporated, you'll find that within a couple of moments you can shift down into that relaxed place, so that it's not a lifelong struggle. It's developing the muscles, and then they're there and they're very accessible. And I hope you find this helpful, and I hope that you'll go through the exercise techniques and get a lot out of them and be able to apply them to your daily practices. Have a great day. Be well, play well, embrace change.